So The King of Staten Island is the new Judd Apatow movie starring Pete Davidson. And it's a movie about a druggy, stoner dude who lives at home. Pete Davidson.
Boo. Boo.
So Judd Apatow movies are usually pretty straightforward movies. They rely heavily on improv and not so much on storytelling, but a lot of his stuff garners a lot of critical acclaim. You look at Knocked Up, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Trainwreck, to name a couple of examples, and now The King of Staten Island. And most of Judd Apatow's hallmarks are here, which for me means I don't care for it much. But let's talk about the positives first. The number one positive is the performances. I think the performances here are actually really, really good. Pete Davidson in the lead role isn't doing anything outside of what he normally is, but he does a good job in that role himself. And the real surprise was Bill Burr for me. I love Bill Burr. I think he's a really funny comedian, and he takes on a much more dramatic role, and I think he nails it. I think he is great in this as a sort of almost overbearing, divorced dad that's trying but failing to help out Pete Davidson. Another positive, I would say, is sort of the tone of the movie. The laid-back feel of it is really intoxicating. That's something that Judd Apatow has always done pretty well, is creating these kind of realistic vibes. You watch one of his movies and there is a lot of like just laid-back chatting, and it makes you feel like you're part of the group. And it's really nice. Their character arcs in this story are actually really, really satisfying near the end when Pete Davidson and Bill Burr learn that they're kind of compatible in more ways than they thought. And since Pete Davidson is sort of separated from his mother at one point in the movie, he can take a step back and see Bill Burr for who he is, aside from the man that's dating his mom. And I really enjoyed that. It's nothing special. The story is nothing really interesting or complex, but it gets the job done.
Fine.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Not your dad.
But that brings me to the negatives. Now, I don't love this movie as so many do, and the number one negative I have is the characters. You get a lot of stereotypical characters that I don't really love, and there are so many side characters in this, and not any of them get real development of any kind. Another negative I have is the humor. Judd Apatow movies I've never really loved, and that's mainly because I don't find them that funny. I do love the realistic quality that the improv provides. It makes it feel like you're just hanging out, but Richard Linklater does it a lot better. It feels more natural. Here, the comedy feels like they are kind of forcing it for the camera a lot of times, and it just doesn't come off that funny to me. A lot of it does feel a little lowbrow, a little dude bro, dumb guy humor that I just don't care for much. I don't find it that funny, honestly. And the last thing I'll say is that it is predictable. Now, I've said that you have stereotypical characters and you have sort of a bland, albeit fine, story and structure, but it does lend itself into being pretty predictable. You can pretty much call every beat of where this movie's going from the get-go. For a hangout movie especially, to be this kind of generic in structure and in story, it just makes for a kind of bland experience overall.
I just feel like everybody's always disappointed in me, and I never live up to anybody's expectations. Hey, thanks for listening to all this. You're one of the few people who treat me, like a person.
I find a lot of it that I like, but there's a lot that I equally dislike. The characters, not for me. The story, not for me. But the tone, I like. The kind of laid-back nature of it, I like. I like the character arcs. I like the satisfying place this ends up. But the stuff in between all of that is just not for me. So I'd give this a 6. Solid 6. Not a bad movie by any means, but not the best thing ever either. So that's that. Bye-bye.